Everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome. My name is Mandy. I have some new makeup to play with. Not going to be a long intro. I bought some of this stuff. I was sent some of this stuff. Some is new to the market, some is just new to me. So I got this look. If you want to see how I did it, let's jump in. Let's start with foundation. The foundation that I ended up choosing during the Sephora sale was the Givenchy Prism Libre Glow Serum Foundation. This says it's blurring, it says it has buildable coverage, it says it's very hydrating with ceramides and hyaluronic acid. It does contain alcohol and it does contain fragrance. I got the shade 3C. There are 30 shades in this, and 3C is described as light to medium with cool undertones. I have discovered that most of the time, even though I feel like I'm more neutral, I'm definitely not cool. I may have redness in my cheeks. That does not mean I'm a cool undertone. But I have found, especially this day and age, that if I want a true neutral foundation, I need to pick something that says cool. Because rarely, now in some instances, drugstore foundations can pull pretty pink. But rarely do foundations that you can get at Nordstrom or Sephora or, basically anything but drugstore brands, rarely do they actually pull pink. For instance, this says it has a cool undertone. This does not pull pink at all, but it also doesn't pull yellow. And that's what I'm trying to stay away from. So when I choose cool undertones, I feel like I actually get the neutral that I'm searching for. Okay, so this is definitely glowy. You can see this side with just my SPF and this side with the foundation is catching the light way more and is way more glowy. Now I am going to mattify that down with powder as I always do, but if you're someone who doesn't wear powder, you're gonna really need to like a glow to appreciate this foundation. And I would say solid medium coverage, not full, but medium. And these are tiny pumps. You know how sometimes you get like a foundation and you pump it out and you're like, oh my goodness, that's a pinhead worth of product. That's kind of like this is, but it's not a bad thing because a little bit goes a long way and you don't need much at all. Even though it's tiny pumps, I use like maybe a little over a pump for my entire face. Very, 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 very dewy. This is not the level of dew that I like as a finished product. It's gonna be fine once I set it with powder, but if I was somebody, again, who didn't use powder, this would be too much for me personally. I can smell a fragrance, but most of the time with liquid foundations that have fragrance added, it doesn't linger, and I don't find this does either. Like I can't smell anything anymore. It's just when I apply it. I don't have a new concealer, but I have a new shade in a concealer that I already had, which is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. They sent me, I bought this one in 3C, which is right here. Kind of blends in. And then they sent me 3.5C. So I just wanted to show you the difference. This is 3.5C. The 3.5C is definitely warmer than the 3C. A tad darker, as you would expect, as a higher number, but it is warmer. And with some foundations that I wear, I need a little bit of a darker concealer because the foundation itself is darker. I don't need that today because I do find this shade works really well for me in the Givenchy, so I'm just gonna use the 3C. This is a phenomenal concealer. Really, really great launch this year. Now, I usually don't show me setting my under eyes in a video because it's so repetitive. I use the same product every time, and it's just, quite honestly, it's pretty boring. But I am gonna use a new product today that I've tried out a few times on my under eyes and I actually like. Florasis, I hope I'm saying that right, sent me over some products. They're the ones with this gorgeous packaging. I've showed some of their products before. Really, it's hard to beat this packaging. This is like a cushiony package. It's a new line they have. There's also a cushion foundation within this line that they sent. I'm including that in my foundation roundup for the end of the year, so stay tuned for that because I may have been abnormally pleased with that foundation. But these are two different powders. One I'm gonna use on my face, blurring pressed powder, and then this one is Gorgeous Peach Blossom Silk Powder. It says 4. I don't know if they have different shades or not, but this is a lavender pressed powder. See, hopefully you can see that kind of purple shift to it. Purple is really good for counteracting overly warm tones. So if I use a foundation that I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just pulling too orange on me today, I'll use a lavender loose powder to set my face. If I use a concealer that's pulling a little too warm, this is great to set. I don't know why I chose to use this to set my under eyes the first time I used it and not my face, but I feel like it's perfect for that. It is super finely milled. I'm just gonna take like a duo fiber brush, lightly buff out any creases. So super finely milled, you almost feel like you're not picking up anything on the brush, but you are. And it does a nice job of lightly setting your under eyes. Lightly meaning it doesn't look like you have a ton of powder on under your eyes, but it's still doing the job. And I do think that lavender helps correct the warmth. So far I've really been liking this. I like powders like this to travel with because I feel like they're less messy than loose powders. I'm gonna do my blush before I set because I'm using a very pigmented blush. This is not a new blush to the market. It's not even a new blush to me, but it's a new color. And it's the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Matte Liquid Blush. I love these blushes. I have 4 shades in my kit. The most used are Happy, Hope, and Encourage. Those are the ones I use on like 90% of my clients. They sent over a couple. So they sent over Bliss, which is this really pretty, soft, I love this color so much, pink shade. And then they sent over this Cheek and Lip Trio. So this has a lip oil in the shade Worth. I'll go ahead and swatch everything. So that's the lip oil in Worth. I'll do a close-up of these swatches in a minute. The liquid blush in Worth, right there. And then this is a matte bouncy blush in Worth, which has kind of the same texture as my beloved MAC Glow Play blushes. So that is Bliss, lip oil in Worth, blush in Worth, and the bouncy pressed blush in Worth. The reason I love these blushes so much, especially my kit, is because they are uber pigmented and they last all day long. I have already had, well, both of my daughters saw this package when it came in and they were like, I want this, I want this, I want this. They love these blushes too, so I'm gonna have to hide them. But I'm gonna try Worth because I think my eyes are gonna be a little bit warmer. This is warmer than Bliss. This is how I like to use them. I do not dot them on my face. I certainly don't dot them on my clients' faces for hygiene reasons. But because they are so pigmented, I like to start out on my hand. That is enough for 4 faces. I don't know why I put that much. And then I'm gonna take a brush. I did an Instagram story on this. This is the new Eyeshadow 5 brush. I flipping love this brush for cream blush. That I couldn't say that properly. Stumbled on my words. I haven't tried it with the liquid blush yet, just cream, so we're gonna try it. I like to really take the tiniest amount on the edge of my hand and work it into the brush, okay? And then lightly, you need to start off very, very, very slow with these blushes. Stipple it into the cheeks. Now, I like this brush because, like I showed on my Instagram story, I like to stipple, and then it has these very long diffusing bristles, so I can turn it over before anything sets and kind of diffuse the edges of the product. Now, I like to do this before I set. You can use these blushes on top of powder. I have, and they work great. But I'm gonna do it before I set, and if I feel like my powder covers it up too much, I'll go back over with the pressed blush that they sent. Since it's in the same shade, I can't speak. I'm almost out of my Fit Glow powder. I did buy a backup because I cannot be without this, but I think this might be the last time I use it. I am gonna use this in my T-zone per usual and put it in my empties drawer. And then I'm gonna use the powder that I showed earlier, the blurring pressed powder from Florasis. This says Z25. This has an SPF 50 in it. That means nothing to me as far as sun protection. It's fine that it's in there. And I'm just going to kind of stipple that on the areas I didn't use the Fit Glow, but leave my cheeks kind of free from the powder. So definitely was able to mattify that foundation some, which is good because I just didn't want it that shiny. Let's talk about bronzer. The bronzer that I decided to get during the Sephora sale is the Soft Blurring Bronzer from Hung Van Gogh in the shade Straightforward. I've had a couple of people ask me if I ended up going with this and what I thought of it. Clearly I ended up going with it. I'm not sure what I think about it yet. The color is fine. Every time I use it though, I feel like it kind of looks a little patchy on me. And I've tried it with a couple of different brushes. I've tried it with my big duo fiber brush that I use a lot. I've used it with this clearly, and then I used it with my Ultra Ego 113. This is a new brush set they came out with. It's pretty much the BK Beauty dupes. And it's not that I feel like it works better with one brush over another. It's just that I don't feel like I get the most even application from it. I say it's not that I like it with one brush over another. I do think I like it with this brush the best. It wasn't worth returning for me. I'm still gonna try it. I'm still gonna use it some. I'm gonna use it as a shadow and see how it works out. I just haven't been overly wowed every time I used it. It's certainly not my favorite bronzer of the year. That one is a landslide winner and will be in my top 3 bronzer video coming up in the next few weeks. But it's not for me. what everybody else was making it out to be when I saw them talk about it. Like, I feel like it's already patchy on my forehead and looks a little muddy for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's user error. Definitely a possibility. Okay, Jones Road Beauty sent me over this Miracle Balm Trio. I think it's one of their holiday kit, and it comes with Après. Here's the thing with the Miracle Balms. You really need to like break them with your finger first to get much pigment out of them at all. And even then, they're very sheer. Then there is Noir. So it's a little deeper than Après, a little bit more purple. And then there is Ballerina, which I'm gonna attempt as a highlight because it definitely gives those vibes. So that's Ballerina, Après, Noir, Ballerina. And I'm gonna start trying with a brush. See if I can get any pigment that way. I don't need a ton because that Rare Beauty blush is glowy, but I always like to put some right up here. I feel like I'm seeing something from that. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit extra glow. Again, I didn't want to get a huge amount, so that's good. I love sets like these, no matter what they are, because you can keep them all yourself. You can divvy them up and stick some in stockings. You can put them in gift baskets. I just like seeing what brands come up with every year in the form of travel size gift sets. Okay, let's go on to eyes. Urban Decay sent me over their Naked Shaped palette. This is a multitasking palette with creams, mattes, shimmers, and glimmers to shape, shade, define, and sculpt, layer, blend, and rule bend. Okay, you slide it up and you get an array of shadows. There are some creams, kind of like the Patrick Ta palette. Now they do show in the marketing that you can use the creams for face, you can use the powders for face. I am not going to use the creams for face, mostly like contour. It's a little dark for me to use as contour, but I might try them as a liner. And I'm going to use as for some of them anyways, the Eyeshadow eye set, which I also did an Instagram story on. We all have these colors like 5 times over. Okay, so this is a palette that if it works well, I'm just going to start out with one of these mattes that I would say is good for like a beginner, if you have someone in your life that you're like wanting to find a makeup gift for that maybe doesn't have a lot of eyeshadow. Like these are good colors for teenagers, I feel like. Although I don't know how it is with y'all, but teenagers around here do not wear eyeshadow. At least my teenagers and their friends. And this is like a rendition of the original Naked palette. I like how it slides up. It's just something different. It is pretty light packaging, light plastic packaging. It's not very sturdy. That shade blended fine. I'm gonna mix warms and cools. There is a company called Prime Prometics. They sent me over a few things. Their foundation is gonna be in my foundation wrap up. And this is their eyeshadow stick in Timeless Taupe. So this is very cool compared to some of these other colors in this palette, but I'm gonna use this on my lid just to see how it performs. And then I'm gonna top with one of the cooler shimmers. I don't often wear shades like this, but I really like shades like this, especially when they are mixed with a warmer shade. I love contrasting warm and cool on the eyes. And then I'm gonna take this shimmer shade right here. So see how it's kind of like grayish, silvery, definitely cooler in undertone, and just top this with the Shadow Zero brush. I'm kind of feeling like I'm not getting much payoff. I'm gonna swatch it with my hands and see, because there's not a lot coming off. Let's see. Okay, that looks warmer on the hand, first of all, than it does in the pan. And it is not Urban Decay Naked Palette opacity. So that's probably why I feel like I'm not getting a ton of payoff. I'm gonna take this large shade right here, which they say can be used as, as a highlight, and see if I can get a little bit more. Yeah, it's mostly like, it's not shimmer. It's kind of glittery, like a little chunky. The payoff is better than that darker shade as far as like me actually getting something out of it. And you're probably not gonna be able to see on camera, but it is pretty chunky. I would not use this on my face. It's fine for the eyes, but you really have to make sure you blend it in so that there's not like a glop, for lack of a better word, of opacity in one place because the glitter is more there than on another. We'll see. Let's try real quick one of the creams. See if I can get some good payoff there. I'm gonna take the brown one on a Eyeshadow 6. It's not part of that eye set, but definitely worth getting. I love the size of it. Okay, that second pass is way better. I think I had to just get down in there to get the pigment to come across. It's fine. And then just for consistency's sake, well, I don't want to go too dark. That's why I'm not doing much more than this because, I mean, quite honestly, I'm going to a high school basketball game later. I'm not trying to look real made up, but I'm going to take I'm not doing this on purpose, but I keep pulling different Eyeshadow brushes from my Refer cup. This is the Eyeshadow one. And I'm going to go in with this little bit of a darker shade right below the crease shade that I used. This doesn't have a mirror, clearly, because you slide it up. I'm just gonna lightly dust that underneath my eye. I'm gonna keep playing with this. I mean, this is a first impression. It's hard to say yay or, well, it's easy to say yay on a first impression because, especially with eyeshadows. I mean, I feel like if I get a really good look, if I get a really good blend, if I get a good, really good feel, then I can say yay. I'm gonna have to keep playing with this one before I give it a solid nay. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's a little less than what I would expect from Urban Decay. Let's do lips before I go on to mascara because I need something on these lips. Fit Glow Beauty has come out with a lip palette. It is their 8 shade cream lipstick palette. This is a limited edition and this is what it is here. Clearly, I like this side for myself a little bit more than this side because I don't tend to use dark, bright colors. However, I am going to depot these into my kit because they're perfect for that and then use these for myself. I have used this one in a video. Well, I didn't show me using it, but I had it on in a video. And it is called Buck. I think I'm gonna use Pure today because it has a little bit of a warmer undertone to it. You can use your fingers. I'm just using a little eyeshadow brush to kind of stipple it in. It's a really pretty shade. Again, warmer undertone. And then because I have to have a gloss, and these are not glossy, they are more matte, I'm just gonna take a little bit of City Beauty Tinseltown. It's not gonna add any color, but it's definitely gonna give me that gloss that I love. All right, let's move on to mascara. I'm gonna use the Refer Eyelash Curler. I don't know if this is new. Well, let me say, they had an eyelash curler before, and then they were out of stock for a while, and they brought them back. So they have it in 2 different sizes, which I really appreciate. This is the 20R, so it's for wider eyes, and then the 18R, which is clearly for smaller. So I'm gonna hopefully be able to show you. This is the 18R and that's the 20. So you can see the 20 is definitely wider. The 20 is what fits my eyes the best because I do have a little bit of a wider eye and I have lashes that really like to just stick out this way and this captures them all. I'm gonna use the Prime Lash Lengthening and Volumizing Mascara from Prime Cosmetics. They also sent this over. By the way, probably my favorite thing from this eye look so far is that shadow stick. I really love the color. This is in the shade Brown and it comes with like a plastic bristle skinnier brush. I have not used this yet, so. First thought is this reminds me a lot of the Thrive mascara. I don't know if it's tubing, I need to look. It doesn't say it's tubing. The whole Prime Cosmetics line is really geared towards like mature women, whatever they consider that to be. The marketing behind this is just, you know, making sparse lashes because we tend to lose them as we age, look fuller. I am noticing, I mean, this is the first coat. I don't find this volumizing per se, maybe lengthening, but the brush itself doesn't lend to volumizing. True volumizing mascaras for me have the like huge, most of the time, like more natural hair brushes. It just tends to give me more volume. Okay, that first coat dried real quick, so it's not as easy for me to get this second coat on. So if you like doing 2 coats, you may need to do them like back to back if you have this mascara. I can really do a first impression, at least half of a first impression when I first use a mascara, and this one is just okay. I mean, I'm gonna see how it wears, I'm gonna see how it removes. That could help it or it could hurt it, but this is with 2 coats. And again, it's brown, so it's not gonna be as stark as a black. And it's just okay. It's not as volumizing as I would like it to be per the marketing. And the only thing I'm gonna do, well, 2 more things, real quick. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and just stipple it on to the higher part of my cheekbones for a little bit more color. I'm sorry, I'm looking in my big mirror back here. The lips and the blush match almost identical. And then Urban Decay sent me over their setting spray in the new matte version, the all-nighter. So they have the original, they have matte, they have glowy. I don't usually use setting sprays, but I'm gonna try this. I do like the bottle. Very pretty color. Rare Beauty also sent me over their perfume. It's called Rare, and it is a sweet and spicy perfume. It's got caramel and vanilla and ginger and cocoa and tonka, pistachio, pink pepper. It reminds me of something. I just can't put my nose on it, literally. I'm looking at the reminds me of on Fragrantica, and 100% I agree with it. Reminds me of the MAC Creme de Nude. So if you had the MAC perfumes way back when, the Creme de Nude one, this smells very similar. I like it. I wore it to the gym yesterday. It wasn't overly strong. It also didn't last like 8 hours, but it's a nice, sweet perfume. I will have everything I use listed and linked below. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, and I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.